In the last lecture, we started building the checkout container, or we actually built it, but now I want to load it with routing. For that, I'll quit the start process because I'll install a new package with npm install --save to store an entry in the package.json file, and then it's React Router DOM. Now, as mentioned in an article in the React Router module, you can also install React Router. React Router DOM does wrap it and does have it as a dependency, but you don't need to. We will only work with React Router DOM here, so that is all we need to install. Still, installing the other package too won't hurt you. It's not increasing the bundle size or anything like that. You can install it explicitly, but you don't need to. So with that, let me now run npm start again. And now that the routing is set up, or that the router was installed, I want to take advantage of it to load either the Burger Builder or the checkout. Now, as you learned, for that we need to wrap everything where we want to use routing with the browser router. And I will do that in the index.js file, though you could do it in the app.js file too. I want to wrap my whole app though, so I'll do it here, and this is a good place to do it, of course. For that, I'll add a new import in the index.js file from React Router DOM. And the thing I want to import is the browser router. Now I'll create a new constant, which I'll just name app. I'll use parentheses to be able to write multi-line JSX code. And then I'll use the browser router, opening and closing tag, and in between I'll put my app like this. And now I'll use the app constant I just created down there as an argument to pass it down here in React DOM render. Now we can use routing in our package. This is routing enabled. Now let's set up some routes, and let's do this in the app.js file where I currently load both the Burger Builder and checkout. To set up routing, I'll import the route component from React Router DOM like this. And now instead of using Burger Builder or checkout like this, hard-coded in there, I'll add route with a path and then with component to render some component here. It's a self-closing component because I don't need to pass anything between opening and closing tag. I actually can't. So here for path, for just slash, so for the root path, I want to load my Burger Builder component. I'll then duplicate this because for slash checkout, I want to load the checkout component. Now with the current setup, both would be loaded because path is treated as a prefix, so this would always be a hit. And for checkout, this would be a hit too. So for checkout, both would be loaded. For Burger Builder, this would be loaded, but we would always load this because of the treat me as a prefix standard. We can add the exact property to prevent this, or we use the switch component to wrap our routes to only get one hit, but then we also need to change the order. With exact, the order doesn't matter here because it's not treated as a prefix. It's not catching everything. Without exact, the order would matter. So I'll change the order and use exact and use switch to just to show everything, though that isn't all required for this setup here at least. So I'll still wrap it with switch so that we only load one of these routes, the first one which matches a path, the given path. So now we should only see the Burger Builder again, and we do. There is no other part loaded. The next step, of course, is to make sure that when we click on continue in this modal, that we also navigate to slash checkout so that we can see that route instead. Let's do this in the next lecture.